What's up, fam? Welcome back to the We Are Just Dating page. My name is Tim. This is my beautiful wife, Pauline. And if you're new here, we are about to do question of the day where we answer your anonymous questions that you can submit in our bio. So, every week we do this. So if you got a question, make sure you submit it because we would love to answer it. We get new questions almost every week. So without further ado, what's the question for this week?
All right. So this week's question is, growing up, I always heard that women mature faster, so I should date somebody older. I'm guessing this is from a girl, of course. Up to now, younger men have been kind of a deal breaker. But with the ratio of men to women being uneven, LOL, I'm wondering if I've been limiting myself. Does age really matter that much? Especially keeping in mind that the man is supposed to lead. I'd love to hear your thoughts and any tips on this.
Great question. Whoever asked this, thank you for asking us. So I'll answer it short, and then I know Pauline has a lot to say. No, age doesn't not matter. Now, that's assuming...
It doesn't not matter or it matters? You just said double
age.
negative.
No, I said age does not matter.
Oh, okay.
You try to correct me on camera. Age does not matter.
Okay, thank
now,
you.
I'm saying that assuming that you're 21 and whoever you're interested in is over 21 because we don't want nobody catching a charge out here.
Why,
you understand?
why 21 not 18?
Just keep it 21. It just
Okay.
keeps it clean.
Why not 25?
Anyway, all right. So no, age doesn't matter. Honestly, maturity is what matters because you could date someone who's 40, but mentally they're 18. So you want to make sure that you're dating somebody who is mature, not just in their age, but in their actions, in their emotions, in how they interact with people. You want to make sure they're mature. I'm going to share 3 things later in this video, 3 things that you should look for, like 3 questions essentially to ask yourself to determine, is this person I'm interested in mature or not? So I'll share that later, but what do you have to say?
Yeah. First, this is a really, really, really good question. So thank you for submitting it. And one that actually really relates to us and our story.
Low key.
So if you guys don't know, Tim and I are not the same age. I'm actually older than him. Only by 11 months.
Okay, thank you.
Not by that much.
Hold on, because she used to try to act like she was 10 years older than me when we first met.
That's because I thought I was. And God had to humble me in a way. And
humble.
But also, not just humble me, but as I got to know Tim better, I realized how mature he really was. So that's another piece, of it. But yeah, this is a good question to ask yourself. First, I want to kind of address the ratio piece that this person mentioned in their question. If you are a woman, and especially if you're a woman of color, the ratio can be very discouraging. So I don't,
especially in church.
Yeah, and I don't know what they are off the top of my head. I probably should look them up beforehand, but I know that there's like some crazy statistics out there that there's like 3 women for every 1 man or something like that, and a lot of times very immature men use that as kind of like their reasoning for why they're not in a rush to get married or why kind of cheating is prevalent, and that neither of those things are true or matter. But then on the women's side, a lot of times women get discouraged saying like, okay, as a black woman, I really don't have a good chance of finding a black man if that's your preference to marry, and I don't want you to base your faith off of that. We base our faith off of the Word of God, and the Bible says, my Bible says that God provides everything that we need according to His riches and glory, not according to incarceration rates or according to death rates or any of that stuff. And actually, I remember a while ago we were looking up statistics, and there's like a fair amount of men and women born. So like there's the same amount of baby boys born as there are to baby girls, which would make sense because it's a 50-50 chance, right? So the question is, what happens, when we turn 18, 21, 25, whatever, what happens to those ratios? And we won't get into that. But all I have to say, don't pay attention to your ratio. Don't let those ratios determine your faith. If you are aware of them, fine, be aware of them. But I don't know about y'all, but especially this past couple months, people have been getting engaged out the wazoo. So there's black men somewhere. You know what I'm saying? They're being found, they're being perfected, they're being matured, and God is preparing them for marriage. They're proposing. And, Tim is living proof, obviously, that there are black men out there who want to get married.
Now, I don't know if you're going to go into this, but can you share a little bit of, what do you mean by God had to humble you and open your eyes. Like, for someone who seems to be in your situation, like, okay, there's a lot of younger men that may be options, but I'm not really looking for that. Like, what helped you?
Right. So, okay. So I'll talk about that a little bit, about me and Tim's story. So I definitely consider myself like a leader. I mean, still do, and consider myself mature for my age. Growing up, people used to always say I was mature for my age, whatever. And I never, ever, even before I gave my life to Christ, wanted to date somebody who was younger than me. And Tim mentioned something earlier saying like, oh, age doesn't matter. Overall, it doesn't. Like, when I'm 85 and Tim's 84, who the heck is really gonna care? What is it really gonna matter? And even now, you know, today, our age, I'm a year older than Tim, technically.
But there's like 3 weeks in
I'm
a year.
27 and he's 26.
There's like
right
3
now
weeks.
Today.
There's like 3 weeks in the year where we're the same age,
and he loves that
I
time.
rub it in her face. You little young butt. You
He
don't
still
know
says
nothing.
that. Anyway, but yeah, so that was me. So I was, whoever asked this question, like, I was you. And I didn't want to date anybody younger than me for that same reason. I want somebody who's mature. I have a twin brother, so I definitely know.
Shout out to you.
Yeah, shout out to Paul. I definitely understand the whole, like, men and women mature differently, because him and I obviously were growing physically or age-wise, time-wise at the same rate, but we were not maturing at the same rate physically.
Hey, chill on my mans.
Physically, emotionally, whatever. You can ask my parents. So I definitely understand that, and if you have siblings, I'm sure you have seen the same thing. But yeah, so I had to, I for a while, I kind of like counted Tim out. My best friend at the time was like, she had said like, oh yeah, like the only person I would let you date at the church is Tim. And I was like, why him? Like, what the heck? But she liked him. She still likes him. She thinks he's great. But anyway, I definitely kind of judged him, and Tim will even tell you that he felt like I treated him like a little brother and blah, blah, blah. And I was in a position of power. I was his supervisor at work. I was his leader at church. So I even helped him get the job that we both had in college.
I didn't know that, but you know.
He knows it now. But anyway, so, but through one of my mentors she was like telling me like, you're not that much older than him. And to Tim's point about age not mattering, the older you are, I believe the less age matters. So if you're 15 dating a 16-year-old,
right.
So it's
We're not
different.
talking about that. We're talking about grown people.
Yeah, like a senior in high school dating a freshman is worlds of difference. Even a 25-year-old dating a 20-year-old is a really big difference, because if you're 20, you're probably in college. If you're 25, you're probably out of college, possibly living on your own. It's two very big different worlds of difference. Even like a 40-year-old dating a 25-year-old is a big difference. But we're not talking about age gaps that are that extreme, and we're not talking about teenagers dating. We're talking about grown adults who are in their 20s, 30s, maybe 40s, and you're dating somebody who is within probably 5 years your age range. That doesn't really matter so much. So very similar to me and Tim's situation. So like I said, one of my mentors had to kind of tell me like, you're not that much older than him, baby girl. She was like, you just graduated yesterday and Tim is still in school. Because that was one of the things that discouraged me when she was like, oh, you should date Tim. And I was like, or consider him. And I was like, he's still in college. And she was like, you just graduated. Like, what are you, you're not, you know, some wolf on Wall Street that you're
just
so
walked
big.
off the stage.
Yeah, so
Diploma's still in your hand.
This is why it's good for you to have community and to have people help you see past your situation, because a lot of times us women are a little arrogant and all that. So that's what I meant by that. But yeah, typically what I wanted to say for this, the answer to this is like, I don't like being judged by my age. And I'm sure you don't either, whether it's, you know, sometimes it works in your favor, you're so young, but you're so accomplished, whatever. But a lot of times people will kind of count you out due to your age, depending on what you're doing. And that's not fair. And I think at the heart of this question that was asked about, you know, like, does age matter, maturity, all those things, what I want you to take away from this is maturity does not equal age. As Tim said earlier, we all know 40-year-olds who stop maturing past 18, even 15. And then there are some 20-year-olds, because of what they've been through in their life and decisions that they've made, they really have a maturity that's beyond their peers and their age group. We all know people who fall into both both categories. So I don't want you to think you can't get what you want, because really at the heart of your question, what you want is a man who can lead you and who can match or exceed your maturity. And that is absolutely possible. So Tim is a great leader. I respect him a lot as a person and as a leader, even though he is younger than me. So I don't think that you should count yourself out or count out your future husband and limit yourself to age, because at the end of the day, you don't really care about the man's age. You really care about his maturity and his leadership. And the Lord tells us in the Bible that wisdom and understanding comes from fearing God. It doesn't come from age. Tells us that in Proverbs. So that's what you really want to focus on. Sure, you might have to deal with some backlash or judgment or comments from people depending on what your age gap is. But also, people are going to say what they want to say. And at the end of the day, you follow the Lord and you want what's best for you. You don't really care about following some type of social norms or whatever. So absolutely, I would encourage you to be more lenient with the age requirement, but do not be more lenient on the requirement for wisdom and for leadership. The two are not synonymous.
Yeah, that's good. They are not the same. So I said it in the beginning of the video, but I wanted to share 3 things that you want to ask yourself about the person you're looking at to see if they're mature or not. So the first thing is this: do they stick to their word? Because every man I know that I respect and admire, they stick to their word. If they say they're going to do something, they're going to do it. Yeah. Has this person ever committed to something that they said they were going to do? You know, it's New Year's, so everybody got New Year's resolutions, they got goals. Has this person ever completed a New Year's resolution or a goal or anything that they have in their life? That's something you want to know.
Even as simple as if they say they're going to pick you up at a certain time and they never do it.
Yes. Now, we prefer people to what our pastor calls spy out the land, where you have time to see this person before they know you're interested. You get to see their character. You get to see what they're about. Now, we understand that's not everybody's story. A lot of people meet before they get to know them on that friend level. So this may take a couple of dates, 1 or 2 or maybe 3. But once you find out these questions and you realize this person is not mature, run. Please don't waste your time. The second thing is this: do they love and serve other people? Because that's what mature adults do, right? And not just mature adults, but mature adults in Christ. Because that's what we want, right? We want some godly men, we want some godly women. So do they serve and love others? Because that's what Jesus commands us to do, right? He commands us to love others. He commands us to serve and help others who are in need. So make sure you're with someone who's doing that. Because if they're not serving and loving others, why do you think they're going to serve and love you in marriage?
Yeah, they're not ready. They haven't been doing that.
That's just not going to happen. You're asking somebody to be somebody they're not currently.
And you can also tell that through their friendships as well. Like how long have they sustained friendships, the longevity, but then also the strength of them. Like how vulnerable are they with their friends? Are they, do they have any friends at all? A lot of guys struggle with friendships.
Yeah, or even simple, like, do they serve at their church? Like, do they serve anywhere? They serve at a soup kitchen, like something. Can they serve somewhere? You want to see that. Yes, we do prefer the church, but still. All right, number 3, do they hear God's voice and do they obey?
That's huge.
Because again, we're talking to grown folk and we're talking to believers. So you want to make sure you have somebody that can hear God's voice and has a proven track record that they will obey. Because we're not in high school, we're not in college, we're making real world decisions.
Unless you are in high school or college.
Right, then we love you. But if you're not, we're making real decisions. We got to pay mortgages. We got to start businesses. We have to put food on the table for our kids. Like, there's a lot of things that are going on that we have to make sure we know God's voice, because we don't want to mess up. The older you get, the bigger the consequences of your mistakes are. You want to make sure you're with somebody who can hear God's voice to hopefully avoid a lot of situations. But if you do come up with some situations where trouble happens, they can hear God's voice to find a way out.
Yeah.
So those are 3 things I'll say. This has been Question of the Day. We hope you enjoyed it. If you did, share it with somebody, send the video to them, tag them in the video. We would love to reach as many people as possible. And we will see you next week for Question of the Day.